November 13th, 2021, which states that the plaintiff and child will attend therapy for reunification and will follow direction of the therapist. The defendant will provide the plaintiff with the name and phone number of the therapist. The defendant will contact the therapist to begin the therapy reunification. The defendant will get the child to all of his scheduled appointments. The plaintiff is responsible for all co-pays, costs associated with the therapy of reunification. Parties will exchange all information regarding the reunification therapy by email on request of either party. This order regarding therapy for reunification can be reviewed by the referee to address whether or not it needs to be modified. Both parties are here. This is based on a request from Mr. Bragg. Can I please have both parties raise their right hands for me, please? Do you both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Mr. Bragg?
I said I do.
Mr. Bragg, I guess you wish to have this order reviewed regarding the therapy. So, what are you requesting today, please?
Well, as a result of from this therapy that did not go anywhere, I suggest that you just cancel out this child support. Because there's morally no course that's doing nothing like this. What you guys are doing, on no level. No man is paying no child support, not having no type of relationship with their child. No man. And I've done everything that you guys asked me to do, and I solely feel that you very much is a racist, man. I'm just gonna be flat out with you. I just feel that you're a racist. You're not one time being compassionate or anything, or even on the level as a father. You're not looking at things as this, on no retrospect, is putting my child first. Never. In the past 9 years, you never put my child first. So at this point, there's no need of me keep on paying child support.
I thought you wanted that 15-time review, Mr. Bragg. This isn't a hearing regarding child support. This is a hearing regarding the...
If my daughter, she made a decision after several results, I done exhausted my efforts in all phases of trying to make this stuff work. I've done everything that you asked me to do. I done paid $30 an hour for impact with supervised visits because the defendant lied to you guys and said that I would kidnap my own child back when I very first started off this child support. I did that for 16 weeks at impact. Now, every other time that versus when we went in front of Judge Brennan, you keep on coming up with the same thing, this rejuvenation. Now that we done it and my daughter done made her decision and her mother clearly done brainwashed her, there's no point in keep on going on. My daughter can make the decision that she wants to, however way that she sees fit, whenever she's 18, because right now, between now and her being 18, if her mother dies today, I am the next of kin, not her mother, not her daughter, or anybody else for that matter. And that's something that the courts are not looking at.
Okay, but what do you want to have reviewed pursuant to the order that...
All right, what I want to have reviewed for us concerning this matter is what have you seen from the courts, what I already distributed to Mr. Respecting? On that aspect, why we keep on going back and forth? Because I've done everything. I've exhausted my efforts. Now that you see, after I told you when we went to court the last time, after we do this, you're going to see that, here we are. Right now, here we are. After the simple fact of that we done went through everything that you wanted to do, that you felt that was going to be of some type of consideration on my behalf or my daughter's, it didn't work.
Okay, so what do you want me to do regarding the reviewing the parenting offense, sir?
What is it that you could do, because you haven't done it all this time in over 9 years? This didn't help. This was no assistance to neither one of us. You won't even allow me to have a phone conversation with my own child. You wouldn't, it's like, what is it? You know what I'm saying? Is this the whole tear down a black man being a part of his own child?
Mr. Bragg, I'm not going to revisit the whole previous case, but in 2018...
Sleep with the black man, but you can't let him be a part of his kid's life, huh?
Okay, well, I was speaking sir, I had no idea about that statement. In regard, in 2018, in October 30th, 2018, you wanted to have your parental rights terminated and wanted nothing to do with this project. And that was all in front of Judge Brennan.
And that clearly was something that, that was set up out of frustration as well, because there's no such thing in the state of Michigan that you can terminate your own parental rights.
Thanks for telling me the law, Mr. Bragg. I'm fully aware.
Well, too bad that you're not following the law on no behalf. What are you doing for me right now?
I'm not doing anything for you, Mr. Bragg, because you were supposed to follow through with the reunification therapy.
Follow through? How are we going to follow through when clearly you see it in black and white from the therapist that said, what point is going on when your daughter does not want to continue? Did you read that? Do you review anything outside of what the defendant always counter rebuttals?
You're the one that says you don't want to continue with the reunification therapy, Mr. Bragg, not me. And you're the one that's coming in here yelling and screaming at me.
I'm not yelling.
Do what you want to do. I don't know what you want to do, because according to the review, you came in here speaking, I just want child support stopped. So that's not for today. That's not a child support hearing. So if you don't want to follow through with the order of reunification, then we're done today.
If I could interject.
Yes, sir.
I did speak to the therapist, and I did interview the minor child as part of this review process. I also spoke to Ms. Stewart. Mr. Bragg did not provide any information. The therapist was working with the minor child, Kelsey, to try to get her to a comfort level. That didn't work. To my knowledge, there were no joint sessions between Mr. Bragg and Kelsey. There were the therapist a couple of times was a conduit for communication between Mr. Bragg and Kelsey. There were a list of questions Kelsey had for Mr. Bragg that she didn't feel comfortable asking him face to face over a video screen. And once those were answered, according to the therapist, Kelsey felt that there was no point to continuing. She did not see any hope of or any desire to reunify, to have contact with her dad. I did not get the impression from the therapist or any of the information I gathered that Ms. Stewart was thwarting the relationship. She followed the order. She made sure Kelsey went to therapy. I did not get the impression from anything I gathered that Ms. Stewart was trying to stop the relationship. I think Kelsey is a very strong-willed, bright young lady who has made up her mind, and Mr. Bragg is in Vegas and hasn't been a part of her life for a number of years. The therapist felt there was no reason to continue therapy based upon all that.
That was the gist that I got as well. Documents submitted to me on both parties. So I guess again, Mr. Bragg, what do you want to have reviewed? I guess I don't know where you want to go from here, Mr. Bragg.
At this point, where is there to go? Because you done heard it exactly from your own parenting consultant on his behalf. Because one, there wouldn't have been no gap in between any time of us not being able to be with each other. You know, if there was on the defendant's behalf. Two, even during this therapy thing, I asked several times, why don't you give this therapist, Christy, permission to include me on to know exactly, you know what I'm saying, whatever she needs to figure out for me outside of these emails to gradually have me join in to where, you know, it can be on this level. But not once was she of any type of way assisting with me on any level, as far as concerned with trying to just even award me to have the opportunity to hear directly from the therapist or anything. She just playing this whole sole custody to the fullest, where it's just really despicable to me. And, you know, just to the point where any parent, you know, versus what you say, Mr. Respecty, she's on no level or interest or anything with my daughter even having a father at this point in time. It ain't even about what my daughter's saying, because she's already been brainwashed. You say thwarted, I say brainwashed, clearly. And now, you know what I'm saying, we're right back to where? Nowhere. Why keep on accepting my funds when I only receive the only income I get from unemployment, and I can't even have no type of knowledge of anything was going on with my daughter outside of this? This is nothing. And as you being a forefront and a referee or whatever you are, you know what I'm saying? You're not making anything no better. You haven't made anything no better in the past 9 years. And you terrible. But she gonna end up finding out the truth, just like she wanted her questions, which I knew she was going to have questions. And I answered every question to the fullest of my knowledge. And whether or not she didn't like it, the truth is the truth. And I'm pretty sure her mother has a lot of degrading things to say on my behalf as well. But you know what? This is nothing but clearly, and you guys are men, and I'm pretty sure your fathers, this is a pure example of a woman's scorn. I've been over her. I have other children that love their father. But my firstborn that made a decision at 14 years old, from the time that I seen her on Father's Day of June 2014, when she interrupted my visit when I brought her sister over to the house, because I said something about child support and I have a right. And she interrupted my visit and cleared my visit at her home. This is why we here right now.
No, well, it sounds like we're here right now because of child support, not because you want to have a parent to do anything with our parents.
Hey, we keep on going right back to the same thing. You keep on bringing it back, a comment that I made out of frustration to Judge Brennan about something that clearly we already spoke on. Now, when it comes down to this review, okay, you reviewed it. What is your recommendation from here moving forward?
Well, you've already stated that. Well, you want the review, sir. So what?
I'm asking for the review, and I'm asking for your recommendation at this point. What do you suggest at this point, now that you see that, you know, just to even keep this going? And okay, granted, my daughter done made a decision after she got her 21 questions answered, and the therapist even made her comment in retrospect to what's what. Now we're right back in the courts because, you know, hey, we're in limbo. There's no point in me paying when my daughter does not want to attend. There's no point in me paying when the simple fact of that, you know what? You know that the only income that I have outside of a lawsuit that you forced me to speak upon that had a non-disclosure agreement. You know what I'm saying? Because why? She still didn't get a dime of my money, but you forced me to speak on that. After my attorney even told you, you need to strike that from out that public record. Now, she still didn't get a dime of my money, and she brought all my lawsuit and everything else to your attention. But then again, when it comes down to my daughter, she's stalking me on social media and everything else. But then again, when it comes down to my child, You cannot once say that, hey, your daughter this or your daughter that. Not once.
Ms. Stewart?
I just want to say that he decided a month before therapy even ended, almost 2 months, maybe a month and a half, that he was no longer going to pay for the co-pays. It didn't stop because LCL all of a sudden made a decision that she didn't want to no longer go to therapy. He made up his mind well before that he was not going to continue to pay for the therapy. So then the therapist had let Lucia know that, because we still had sessions left to finish through. She let Lucia know that he was not going to continue to pay for sessions and that she thought that she could make the decision after those paid co-pays were completed. She felt that she could make that decision to no longer continue therapy after her father was no longer going to pay co-pays. And I do not stop him on social media.
The intent of the reunification therapy was for you, Mr. Gray, to work with the therapist and the therapist to work with your daughter to fix the situation.
How can I work with the therapist?
Mr. Brand, can you quit interrupting me, please? I appreciate it. And, I don't know when did this session begin?
I have it here. The intake appointment with me was, I think it was at 11:30, and then Lucia's first appointment was on December the 3rd,
And how many,
2020.
and how many appointments did she have there?
A total, I think a total of 16. One was the intake appointment with me, so 15.
Were they making, Mr. Inspector, do you know if they were making any form of progress to those 15 before the eloquently answered questions were answered by Mr. Bragg that were quite alarming when I read them?
No, there was really no progress being made. I think part of the barrier, frankly, was the therapist admitted that this wasn't her specialty and that she was hesitant to share information or disclose information to Mr. Bragg because he did not have legal custody. So would things have been different with a different therapist? Don't know. They clearly didn't work with this.
So I guess, Mr. Bragg, he's going to continue with the reunification therapy?
You asking me, am I willing to continue?
Yeah, with somebody else, or with the same therapist to see if we can go forward with the issue? That's what we have. Until your daughter's comfortable with you, we can't order contact between you. We can't recommend contact between you and her.
It's funny that you say that, but she could file a PPO on me and I stay out of state.
Mr. Bragg, I have nothing to do with PPOs. I have nothing to do with what the judge ordered in 2018. I have nothing to do with any of those things.
And I'm trying to get a realization to, if you know that my only source of income is coming from unemployment, why am I paying for these co-pays?
Because you're the one that created the problem, Mr. Bragg.
No, I haven't created anything because deemed that I used to work for Chrysler, I was not obligated or being destined to be put on a particular shift. I had low seniority. My shift bumped around as need be. That was something that's always been explained as to why I could not make certain dates as far as concerning that parental time order. Now, when it comes down to weeks, months, and years, that is on the defendant's behalf. That is not on my behalf.
You agreed to pay for the co-pay.
Well, I'm not agreeing to it now because you know what? I only received 28 more weeks of unemployment. And I'm almost to the point where I can have them stop that unemployment because you want to know who's paying me unemployment? Michigan is paying me unemployment. I am not going back to work in Michigan. And as you see, as you asked, if you even look at your paperwork and your transcripts, you asked, When you send me some paperwork that shows a doctor deemed you being disabled, then we're going to do this and then we're going to do that. You never keep your word. It's to the point where, you know what? This whole thing is a farce. I'm not paying for it. And I don't feel that she should be getting anything, reaping any benefits off of me, raping me from my own family that, you know what, that, hey, I have other children. Do you take that into consideration? No, you don't. Not that I'm paying for. No. If I didn't receive whatever money that's coming outside from the government, as far as concerning this pandemic fees, she wouldn't be getting the money that she get, because you only know that per Chrysler, I would only be getting $335 every 2 weeks. So that would be $700, $1,400 a month. Let's be honest right now. But you still made a decision after I told you I would get the paperwork from the doctor that shows that, you know what, I am deemed disabled. And the only funds that I do receive is from unemployment from Michigan because I work for Chrysler. I understand all that, but you know what? That was a part of everything that's supposed to have been addressed upon coming up to this review.
No, the only thing that's supposed to be reviewed is the parenting. You're treating this parenting time review as a review.
I'm making a point too at the same time. It's just like right now, what can you do for me? What can you do for me as a representative of the friend of the court? And I shouldn't even say a man or a father, because you don't even want to get my opinion, because I already told you how I feel about you. Now the racist got her hand up too, but you screw black man.
Mr. Bragg, if you're unwilling to continue with the reunification therapy and pay the costs associated with that therapy, at this point, there's nothing to review. And I'm going to have to stop the hearing. There's nothing to review. So you're not willing to go forward with any of these issues. What are we going to review, sir?
You're reviewing the facts. Your own parent-to-time counselor told you. She did not allow me to even have the opportunity to speak one-on-one. It's several emails where I asked, why don't you give me the permission to find out what techniques are being used? Why don't you give me the permission before I can figure out, you know what I'm saying, where the therapist can hear on my behalf? I guess that doesn't make a difference, because why? Everybody's playing on this. Okay, granted, we know who has physical sole custody at this point. But all it took was for one phone call for her to say that, hey, far concerning this therapy, Mr. Bragg has full, permission for me to get knowledge of what's going on with far concerning his daughter. And you guys can, you know what I'm saying, do what's best on your behalf. Because he can tell you his own version just like I can tell you mine. That was never even brought up, because you want to know why? She has something to hide. Why not give me permission? Why not give me the opportunity to speak with the therapist? Why not have the therapist be able to call me one-on-one when she felt that there was an opportunity stuff was going through her? Does that make sense?
It's up to the therapist.
This was something that was already initiated from day one with this therapist. And if you've seen before Sandy Bender even retired, that there was a letter, because why? The simple fact that I asked that I be able to have some type of knowledge of what's going on. She goes to Miss Bender. Miss Bender tells her in a letter whatever she puts in this letter. It's like, there's keep on always going to be a rebuttal to everything that I try to do on a positive level, that there's no type of anything that's going to get us anywhere, because why? There's always a fork in the road coming from Sheila Stewart. And if that ain't being the case, it's going to be something coming from your behalf.
So this was an agreement. This was an agreement to agree to consent order with our custody and parenting time. We worked tirelessly to come up with this order, and everybody agreed to it. You didn't want to agree to it. You agreed to it. You both gave in. You both agreed to this order. This was a consent order so that you could start the process that had been stopped by Judge Brennan back in 2018.
16. Yeah, it was 2016 when he first said he wanted to terminate his rights and walk away from her.
You're going to keep on stressing that.
Absolutely.
Well, as I said, in the state of Michigan, there's no such thing. And you know what? You was in the courtroom, and you know what? I'm not playing your game. I will stop this unemployment today. You won't get a dime from me because I'm not having no knowledge of what's going on with my child.
You're correct. This court that it was 2015, and I believe it was rebrought in 2018. So it was stopped in 2016. So this was the only attempt we could do to try to reestablish the connection between Mr. Bragg and his daughter was a reunification therapy act. Both agreed to it. Mr. Bragg, if you don't want to follow through with it anymore and you're done with it, and we have nothing to review, you're not willing to maybe try a different therapist. If this therapist didn't work out, we can try a different therapist and begin the process again. But that's it. Mr. Bragg, if you don't want to pay for it, if you don't want to do it, there's a court order requiring it to happen. That's that's supposed to happen until the child feels comfortable enough to try to have a relationship. I would say that it might be difficult now based on the responses that you wrote to the therapist regarding those statements. Those are very alarming.
Agreed.
So, I mean, the order is what the order is. If you don't wish to follow through with it, Mr. Bragg, I guess we're done today. There's nothing you must review.
Let it be. Let it be. She'll be 18 in 4 years, and you know what? She's going to have plenty more questions. But you know what? Anytime between now and then, hey, there's nothing to look forward to. So if we're done, because all I just had was one thing to say to Mr. Respect. I appreciate you, but even with you being new to this court and everything else for that matter, with the position that you hold, there's no court nowhere that's going to let no man keep on paying child support, not to have anything to do with his child and knowing what the circumstances is. Because like I asked you when we spoke on the phone, if you ever looked at those paperworks and look at what she put in there, this woman lied to the court and they ran with it since. Because she said I would kidnap my own child. I done paid for $30 an hour for impact. All they keep on trying to stress is something for me to keep on coming up out of funds to do what? Reconcile with my child? This is not no pay to play with me. So it's going to be 4 more years of pretty much nothing. But you know what? After these 28 weeks of child support, you can't force me to do anything. So after these 28 weeks, Sheila, don't look for anything else. You don't worry about it. She will find me when she's old enough to really get an understanding of what's what, because at the end of the day, she only has one father. So whatever little role that you playing, a little bull crap, little lies that you're doing, it's going to backfire in your face. Because you know what? My questions and answers, my answers to her questions might have been alarming, but it's the truth. So we done. I'm going back to bed. It's fucking 6 o'clock in the morning here.
Okay.
Peace.
Yes, I do. Please. We've been doing this for 10 years almost. Asking courts for help. We try to help him. He continues to not follow through. He blames everything on the courts. He blames everything on me. Everyone's a racist. He takes no accountability for his actions in any of this. Keeps filing things, doesn't follow through, and here we are again. 10 years later, there's been no change. Therapy ended because he no longer wanted to pay for it. Kelsey was not ready for him to come into a session yet. She was not ready for that. When she had her questions, she said, told the therapist, I'm not comfortable reaching out to him. She didn't even want to reach out to him over the phone, face to face, to ask those questions. When does this stop? When do we just say enough is enough?
You end the child support right here today.
I will end it. That $200 does not mean a whole lot to me. The courts courts will not allow that to happen. And, excuse me, ref, this is what it's all about. He will, if I end child support, he will be done with this. That's what it's about. He wants me to end the child support. It's not about Priscilla.
It's been about her. I'm done with it. End it. You filed everything else. End it. Sorry.
File a motion for the future, Mr. Stewart. So, I mean, the deal is, I mean, you can stop it. You can file a motion tomorrow regarding what it is, and then you'd ask to have it reinstated. So, I mean, is there state assistance on this case?
I'm sorry?
Is there state assistance, meaning is she on state health insurance or anything like that?
No, I pay for all of her everything. I pay for
My
everything.
thing would be, is if you want to have it stopped, I would tell you to consider it, and then you can send, if you want to have it stopped, then you can send in a letter, notarized, stating you wish to have the child support stopped, and Ms. Blair will give you order. I'm not doing an order today regarding your statements, because I feel like you're being coerced into agreeing to this, so therefore, if you wish to have the child support stopped, please put it in writing, sign date, notarize it, get it to our staff, and we'll do the order.
I'm not being coerced into anything. My point is that if I were to stop it, he'd be okay with not seeing her ever again. That's what his main goal is, to stop his child support.
Well, I think that's evident from his first statement that we got out here today.
Thank you.
So,
But when do we
but the money
just keep
for child
doing this?
support, the money for child support goes to the child. It doesn't go to mom and it doesn't go to
Right.
dad. So it's
Right.
independent of parenting time. So, I mean, for child support to stop, there still would have to be a reason why it needs to stop.
I understand that.
You're deviating from a formula, and you're also, this is money for her. This isn't money for mom. So it's money that would be used for her benefit in the next 4 years, such as clothes for her, such as,
Right.
like, you know, if she's involved in activities, it's, you know, sporting equipment, band equipment, stuff like college. I mean, tons of stuff that it could be used for. So
I understand that.
So, I mean, if you want to have it stopped, you're gonna have to, you know, somebody's gonna have to file a motion requesting it to have it stopped and to deviate from the formula, because at this point, I'm not having anybody strong arm somebody in regarding to entering a child support order at city. I'm not doing that.
So I understand. My
So,
whole point was that's the reason why he's doing it. That's his main goal.
well, I think that, again, I think that is evident by his first statement today, which was, I can't believe you're making me pay child support. I'm not paying child support. What man is supposed to be paying child support and not seeing the child? And I would tell them there's thousands upon thousands of men and women that do not get the right to see their children or are not seeing their children based on the court order and that are paying child support, such as all the people that have had their parental rights terminated based on neglect, and they still have to pay child support for said children. So, they don't have parenting time, they don't have interactions with that child or children, but they still have to pay because they're still a parent that needs, that the children still need financial assistance. So I am done with the review today. The order remains in effect. If he wishes to do reunification therapy at some point in the future, he can try to reach out to you if that's important to him. If not, the order is what the order is as of right now. Because it's just a review, that's all I'm trying. I'm not here to modify the order, it's just review to see if we're taking the next step to expand it to something else.
So if the order remains prior to reunification therapy, the order still remains that his visitation is suspended until further order of the court.
The only order that's currently in place is regarding the reunification. He doesn't wish to do the reunification. The order is still in effect that he has no parenting time with the child yet. Because the only interaction they were having was through the therapist. That was it. Okay?
Okay.
Mr. Bragg?
Hey, I'm done. I didn't have no type of say so anyway, because like I said, she never allowed me to. And so since she never allowed me to, what's the point of keep on going on? There's no point. It is pointless. Only one winning is her. So you and her in the courts.
I don't win, sir.
It's not about winning.
Well, the child never been put first. And you said something about 10 years. 10 years on your part because there's no effort outside of you keep on rebutting everything that I put in. There's no compromise. There's never been a compromise. Since I left October 9th of 2009, there's never been a compromise. 3 years it took her.
Not me.
Okay, granted.
It's been filed by the judge, and Judge Brennan is the one that made the orders, not me. So therefore, when you sit here and keep stating on the record that it's me, it's not. The record is clear. It's Judge Brennan who has stopped the parenting time all the way back 5 years ago. So it has nothing to do with me, Mr. Brennan.
You was in court that day. We sat in a council room. You asked, what suggestion can we come to? What compromise can we come to together in the back of her chambers?
And it was to continue to supervise parenting time and impact.
That was-
That's what Ms. Binder recommended. You didn't want to do it. Judge Brennan terminated your parent, suspended, not terminated, suspended your parenting time pursuant to the July 6, 2016 order, which is 5 years ago, almost to the day, sir.
There's been no change.
So it's not me, it's the judge. Then you filed a motion in 2018. Same thing happened again. And then we hadn't heard from anybody until the child support got all of a sudden recalculated. And then you wanted parenting time, Mr. Brett. Every 2 years. So we did the order. We worked tirelessly to get the order entered. And this is where we're at. If I wasn't willing to help out the situation, myself and Ms. Binder wouldn't have spent hours trying to get the case, to get that order entered, for you to be able to start seeing the child in some fashion. So I am done. I wish you the best. I wish your daughter the best. And
Thank you.
go from there. Thank you.
Put that paperwork in.